Welcome to St. Augustine this evening, the Mike Davis Show. We're here with both Davey and Amanda and a very, very special guest, which we'll introduce in just a minute. But we're going to have an amazing show. Show prep today has been one of the best show preps ever.
Okay.
And it's a miracle that Davey is still here.
Okay.
It is a miracle. Let's get some ad money and revenue paid. Let's get all this stuff done. SolarStick, established in 2006. SolarStick is a local portable power company proudly committed to American manufacturing, constant innovation, and creating jobs right here in St. Augustine, Florida. SolarStick's focus on providing solutions for self-sufficiency helps users all over the world complete missions and save lives. SolarStick, changing lives, saving lives, and reviving American manufacturing right here in the nation's oldest city.
The team at South State Bank is a group of bankers that you can count on. Their approach to building long-term relationships with their customers is the best in the business. If you are looking for a banking relationship that you can depend on, check out South State Bank. They have 3 locations to serve you in St. Augustine: State Road 312, State Road 16, and the beach. Or you can visit their website at southstatebank.com. They are a member FDIC.
And A to Z offers free estimates and have been serving St. Johns County for over 20 years in the construction industry. A to Z offers painted metal roofs for saltwater area homes with warranties for up to 25 years. A to Z offers shingle roofs with warranties for up to 50 years. A to Z also installs tile roofing, cedar, shake shingles, designer roofing, and flat roof coverings. Recent job photos and material descriptions can all be seen at AtoZRoofingWaterproofing.com.
Just when I think you can't redeem yourself, you read the read perfectly.
Thank you, Triple Axel. Thank you very much.
Land Title of America, whether you realize it or not, when you refinance the sale or purchase of a home, there is a title company involved. Don't get stuck with some out-of-town title company who doesn't give a crap when you're faced with challenges. Stay local and choose Land Title of America. Just call or text Stephen Collins, 904-501-4481. He will answer. He's amazing at that. He specializes in all types of real estate transactions. Land Title, your local title company, ensuring America's land one title at a time because
They give a crap.
they do. They 100% give a crap. And a few quick announcements from the Beaux-Arts Ford Community Update page. 2024 Beach Days Surf Quest, April 13th. So
when
this
is that?
Saturday, April
Okay.
13th, this Saturday. 1 p.m. at the Mary Street Ramp.
Okay.
If you've got individuals with disabilities, you're always welcome. If you've got somebody that wants to learn to surf, if you could bring your kids or your parents or whoever back from last year, Tim the Legend O'Neill will
buddy.
be there helping. I hear a lot of people show up just to see Tim in a bathing suit.
Hey, that's cool.
I never have showed up for that reason.
Just
I show
a
up
tube
to
of
help
chapstick
people.
and a dance belt, Tim. That's all you need.
Oh my gosh, that's Tim O'Neill.
Hey, look who that's presented by.
Rotary.
District 6970, the best district in Northeast Florida.
That is
Love
right.
them. Service above self, everybody.
All right. Also, Hydro Task Force 1, there, see, I did it. Task Force Hydro 1.
Task Force Hydro.
Task Force Hydro. I was trying to get Davey to do it. And I did
How's
it.
that fake news
Yes,
looking? Yeah.
the second annual, we'll get to that. The second annual Grand Luau is at the Mark Lance Armory on May 11th, 5 to 8 p.m. Amanda and I will be there with our spouses.
Yay!
We will definitely be there. They've got catered
coming,
Hawaiian food, DJ, music, hula dancers. Yeah, Davey's going to be there. He's there. He's dancing in the hula dance.
Definitely.
contest.
My
He
hips
is
don't lie,
in the
Shakira.
hula
I'm
dance
ready.
Contest.
Go ahead.
Shakira's in trouble.
Oh, but I love her.
Did
She's
you
so
see
hot
what
fire.
she said?
Yes, she's
Do
in
you
trouble
wanna
about
talk
Barbie. I
about
know.
what she said.
Ugh.
I didn't think you'd
I
ever
thought you would
listen
like
to
her. I thought
song.
for sure you'd buy a CD, at least something by now.
I bought her whole collection based on what she said the other day. And I'm giving it all to you.
Oh, sure.
All of the videos.
All right, today is April the 9th in the Jackie Hurd calendar. She does not have this down, but it is the 100th day of the year. So we've almost made it a third of the way through. Thank God for that. And we all are marked safe from the
Eclipse.
yesterday.
What a waste of time. I thought it was so dopey.
Did you not go?
I mean, I went. I was here. It was like we were still in Florida. It was a little bit of cloud. and it
Mike
was like
didn't go
nothing.
outside. You
What?
didn't bother to look at it.
I mean, I didn't go outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I was walking
Yes.
the
You didn't
dogs,
go
but we didn't
outside?
look
Come on.
up.
Yes.
I kept telling my girls to look down.
So Davey does his usual extraordinary job of show prep. He gives me the bio for our guest, Leigh Cort, who is amazing, and we're really looking forward to having her. And I handed it to Leigh, and this is what I got back.
Yo, I'm an A
Completely
student.
redacted. Everything scratched out. as though it was fake news pulled from a fake bio website that they
dare.
happened to go to.
I did the best I could, everybody.
That
Jeez.
shady website, LinkedIn.
You can't trust those people. I keep telling you that.
Oh, jeez. I know.
It said you've done
Gracious.
12 million miles on a spin class.
I have, basically. But I will tell you, we have an extraordinary guest in
We
studio.
do.
Yeah, this young lady has really inspired a lot of people, especially with the Women's Food Alliance. It's lovely to hear her story, and I promise you, you're going to love this adventure.
I love everybody that you tell me I'm going to love Davey.
Okay, I know.
You have yet to be wrong on that.
On that.
Show prep, a little iffy.
I'm now a B
Put
student.
that on your LinkedIn, Mike Davis.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to see what Davey's going to do to my LinkedIn this
I need
evening.
to look at your LinkedIn. Yeah, what did you build, Disney? Okay.
It doesn't exist. Well, after our family finished the London Tower
Okay.
and doing a bunch of bridges around the world.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I
We
mean,
didn't
who
know
knew?
this.
Who knew?
So, Leigh, you've been in St. Augustine a while, right? You're here.
24 years.
Oh, lovely.
Almost a local, and we're very happy to have you. Just kidding. We love that you're here. But where did you start your career at?
Well, it really began, everything began for me in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know, show business began in New York. Show business ended in New York. The party industry started in New York exactly 40 years ago. It's almost 40 years to the day
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
that I landed my job at the Trump Tower, not knowing anything about how to do a party. I got the job because I met Dino De Laurentiis, the movie producer, who was in New York, and he was busy opening a food show. It was the DDL, Dino De Laurentiis, initials like Trump with a T.
Of course.
But he opened the DDL food show around the corner from the famous food emporium called Zabar's. And New Yorkers loved Zabar's. So when Mr. De Laurentiis opened the DDL food show, it was exquisite. It was fish in aspic. It was Italian bread bakers that made beautiful breads. People loved going there and taking photos. They would put their cameras back around their necks.
Back in the
and
day
they-
where you had to go take the film to get developed, then you had to
Everybody
go back
had a
and get the
camera
film,
around
and then
their
you had to
neck.
realize, oh my gosh, I missed all the good shots.
Exactly. But the camera went back around your neck and nobody shopped there. It was not the place where New York wanted to buy food. It was gorgeous. It was photographable. But everybody would then go to Zabar's around the corner. And he hired me to be the sales party director of the DDL food show. After about 3 days there, I realized what was happening. And I wrote him a Dear Dino letter. I mean, being a working actor, you case the joint very quickly, and I knew it wasn't going to be marketable, and I didn't want to be locked in there. And I wrote him a Dear Dino, a real letter that I presented to him, and I left DDL Food Show and went over to my stomping ground, to Sardi's, to sit at the bar, have a cocktail, and go, oh my God, what did I do? Mr. De Laurentiis called me and asked me if I would like to go and have a glass of wine with him at the Oak Bar at the Plaza Hotel. Hey, girls never said no to that. And we had a conversation. He told me that he was opening his restaurant. He understood what I wrote to him about DDL Food Show. I do think it closed shortly after that, but he liked my candid assumption of what was going on at the DDL Food Show. And
Which
he took
you're lucky
me
because it was a man's world back then. So for you to be able to
totally,
speak up about that,
absolutely.
right?
You know, but when you're a New Yorker, you have courage. You have to speak up.
You have to.
Otherwise, you get lost in the mess.
Yeah.
So he took me across the street and he showed me this beautiful building on the corner of 5th Avenue and 57th Street, right by Tiffany, Bonwit Teller. It was across from Bergdorf. It was
Harry
a neighborhood.
Winston was there too.
It
on the
was
corner.
spectacular.
Bulgari. Yeah. Excuse me. That's my stomping grounds.
Oh,
I'm very
really?
proud, yeah.
Let's let Davey finish his romp down memory lane. Any other places along
I'm
that street
just
that you
painting a
miss?
picture. I'm making sure everybody
You know
gets
what?
it.
Painting pictures is so important.
Lee
Do
was
whatever
painting
we
a beautiful
do.
panorama.
And then
you
I-
just threw paint all over it. It wasn't even the right color.
I am
Davey.
very Jackson Pollock. Thank you. Pardon me, Lee. Keep going. Yes.
Now it's easy for me to pick up again because this is like I must say, being in here in the studio, this is like a party.
It is.
Excuse me. Thank you very
Enjoy.
much.
Salute.
welcome.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, I looked around when we went to the Trump Tower, and he took me into the base of, there was a waterfall, an indoor waterfall. It was probably the only building in New York that ever had one. It was a 5-story waterfall and contiguous escalators that went from,
Were they golden back then?
Oh.
they were gorgeous.
I'm
They
sure.
were.
I bet they were.
They were golden.
Yes.
They were fantastic. And at the base of the waterfall was the DDL Bistro. I think
Okay.
he called it the Bistro. And he said, well, what do you think about this? And I went, it's a lovely restaurant. He said, would you do the parties here? But I would like to introduce you to someone before we agree on what you're going to do here. And he took me upstairs, and I really had no idea at that time of the enormity of the Trump organization. It was Mr. Trump, and I had to meet him because I was going to be representing the Trump Tower
Sure.
at the parties. So it all went well, and that was my first job in New York City going,
Oh my God, do you remember what you wore?
God."
Like, were you in DVF? Like, how did you pull this off?
Well, you know what? There was a TV show that I loved, and it was Marlo Thomas, That Girl.
Yeah.
And as a working actor, I never had a chance to like play that kind of role. When I did soaps, I was the vixen. When I did movies, I was the bad wife. I was always the bad girl.
I like this.
But Marlo Thomas, she was like that girl.
Yeah.
And that was the role I
What was
wanted
her
because
thing, like
that was
Friends
really
with You and
me.
Me or something? Wasn't there another show with her, Marlo Thomas?
I don't remember
And
now. I just
Friends.
remember that girl.
Yeah.
That girl.
That girl. And she was darling, and she always wore like frocks. Frocks or a cute little suit. What did I wear at my first interview? Probably a dress with a jacket.
Okay.
I mean, when that was the era, 1984.
Yeah.
During the day, you worked in, with high heels, pantyhose, dress. I was ready for the job. I dressed the role.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I wasn't there, but you painted this incredible picture, right? And I can see Trump meeting you. I can see Trump looking at Dino De Laurentiis and saying, "This is the smartest girl. You should hire her."
Yep.
I told you that thing was going to bomb.
Yep.
She knew it in 30 seconds. She's great.
That
She's
is
amazing. And
really
you should
funny.
hire him. And that's it. Dude. Hire her right now. She'll save this next bomb you're about to do in my hotel. And I can't afford it to bomb in my hotel. I just can see Trump saying all of this. I know he didn't say any of it, but that's
No,
just
but that's so fantastic because that you had to act quickly when you lived in New York.
Yeah.
And you worked in New York. Actually, the Trump Tower was not a hotel. It was the office building. The entrance on Fifth Avenue was the entrance to the offices. On 56th Street was the entrance to the residences,
Oh.
the everybody's
interesting.
apartment. So
Okay. So it's sort of like a secret entrance on the apartment side versus I
Quiet.
guess Casa Monica's like that. I mean, you have the hotel entrance, and then they also have the apartments on the side that you can.
Yes.
Some people live there, so okay.
Yes.
that's an interesting analogy. I never really
I'm trying
thought
to bring
of
it
that.
back local. Here we go. But cute. Okay, so talk about one of the first events that you did in Trump Tower. This is an extraordinary story.
Well, it became it became the tragedy that turned out well. That really is the genesis of the Women's Food Alliance today. While I was trying to figure out how to do this role of being the party director, because don't forget, I had never planned a party. I was a Broadway actor, singer, that I would go to rehearsals, and I knew that when the curtain went up, the show went on. A party is not that. A party is in your file. You have all the details in your file, and everything better be perfect on paper so that when the door opens to the event, the party begins and it's flawless. So I think they hired me because I got that.
Yeah.
One of my first parties, I was excited about this party. It was the Diane Singh Gallery was doing, I'll never forget the Diane Singh Gallery. They represented Urte, the sculptor, and this was going to be a party for Urte's, I think, 90th birthday.
Wow.
And he had done a new sculpture of the Statue of Liberty.
Cool.
And the Diane Singh Gallery was inviting all of their VIP clients to this event. They contracted with me for maybe 1,500 people.
Okay.
Prior to this party, I was invited to join an organization for women in the food industry called the Roundtable for Women in Food Service.
I love this.
And luckily for me, I got to meet some of the members prior to this event. One of the members had, she worked for Dufour Puff Pastry. Another member owned the Russian Tea Room. Another member had gourmet products. There was Sarah Beth's Kitchen. I mean, only 100 women in this organization at that time because women hadn't really infiltrated the hospitality party industry yet.
Interesting.
But there was one woman who opened a party rental company at that time, and I remembered going, wow, you need rentals for parties? I mean, I wasn't envisioning it. I hadn't been in the party industry yet. Anyway, it's about an hour and a half before the big 1,500 guest party, and my banquet manager, because in the Trump Tower, even though we had the restaurant, you can picture the restaurant on the ground floor, we only served lunch. It was lunch from like 11 to 5. And our chefs in Dino De Laurentiis' world were from Italy. They knew exactly how to make exquisite food, but we didn't even have a walk-in freezer. They didn't serve frozen food. Everything was prepared to order.
Wow.
Goodbye for the day, and then the following day of dining at lunch was happening. So our kitchens, when we did large parties at the Trump Tower, were in the basement of the Trump Tower, and then we would elevator up the food, all ready to be butlered. You know, we weren't serving hot food at that time. We were doing large cocktail parties that had beautiful staff. My staff were all actors and models. They all looked fantastic. You know, just to have a party at the Trump Tower was an experience to walk in. Anyway, it's about an hour and a half before this party for 1,500 people. And my banquet captain called me and said, so Leigh, the party's going to start in an hour and a half. Where are the coat racks? I went, coat racks? Oh, my God. I forgot coat. He said, Leigh, it's winter. Women are going to be wearing furs. Men are going to be wearing overcoats. We need coat racks. And I was ready to walk out. You know, you get scared when you're young and you don't know anything. And I remembered I had a friend in the round table for women in food service. And I called her at the rental company. And I said, "What can you help me?" She said, "Lock the doors." I said, "Why should I lock the doors?" She said, "Don't let people in. I will get you coat racks, but it's going to take 45 minutes or so to get you coat racks. You have 1,500 people coming. You really need coat racks for maybe 1,200 people. But don't forget, Leigh, you also need staff. You just can't have a coat rack there with a number on it and 1,500 people coming. It's pandemonium. You need staff to do this." She said, I'll provide people to do your coats. And she saved my life that night.
I love that.
We locked the doors. There were some people who were early arrivals, but the security at the Trump Tower was always on it. So they all saved my life that night. The party was a huge success, and I learned about how to do a party. Everything, every I has to be dotted, every T crossed. You better, when you have your folder, you better make sure everything is flawless from beginning to end, including the goodnight kiss, because once the door opens...
Stop looking at me. She's telling a beautiful story.
I need a drink.
You said everything had to be flawless, and
It
suddenly
usually
I felt the
is.
need to look at Davey.
I am usually flawless. I had one in brew today. One.
Mike Davis, knock it off.
So, Leigh, did you ever use anybody else for coat racks again, or did
Right.
you just use
Never.
her the entire time?
You know what? It taught me commitment. It taught me about people in industry, whatever industry you're in hospitality. You know, we're in our own world, and it works for me all these 40 years, no matter what I was doing. But the commitment and the support of suppliers, relationships, I learned at a very early time in this career how to really count on people and be accountable myself too.
So to me, that's a story of somebody that looked at you and said, she's new in the business. I'm going to help her out. It could have easily just said, no, we don't have time. All our staff are gone, but went out of their way to help you. Did you have an opportunity to kind of pay that back somewhere along in your career where somebody young was starting out and you saw them do something and you went, I'm just going to help them get through this?
every day.
Yeah.
Every day for 40 years. It's always a part of my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the hospitality industry. It's volatile. It's exciting. It's diversified. It's every day is a different equation of work.
There's all different types of food, so there's all different types of
Oh
culture
my
you're
gosh.
kind
And
of
it just
weaving,
keeps changing. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, depending upon where you work and what you do, to me, yes, I can answer that question, but I have 170 stories
Yeah.
that answer the question because the Women's Food Alliance today,
Mm-hmm.
which is similar to being patterned after the Roundtable for Women in Food Service 40 years ago, it's all about the heart and soul of our industry. And the Women's Food Alliance that I started 11 years ago has the patina of what I remember in 1984 at the Trump Tower with these women. We were all young. We were all insecure. A lot of entrepreneurs who started businesses without a support group.
Mm-hmm.
They just did what they thought they might like to do. They were really much more courageous almost than today's people.
So I look at these two industries that you were involved in. One is the party industry, right? But the other is acting. They're both very difficult to get into. And Davey mentioned that was a man's world back then. And so which of the two was the hardest to break into? And which of the two did it give you, when you got like this huge party, 1,500 people, and it went really well, or was it, I got a role, an acting job in a play or in something?
Yeah,
and
that's a good
so
question.
what gave you kind of best satisfaction?
I loved being an actor. I loved going to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts on Madison Avenue. I remember going there at the age of 20, and I learned how to act from great teachers. Because being an actor is not about you. It's about what's going on around you. It's about the other person. When I was going to acting school, you learn how to listen. You cannot be a good actor if you're not listening to the other person's information that they're giving to you, which moves you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about memorizing your script. A script is really important, so it gives you guidance. But being a really good actor, you have to think, and you have to be on your spot at that moment. And that part of my education and being an actor for 20 years, because I did that from the time I was 20 to 40. I loved being a singer actor because I loved the people, the ensemble of who I worked with. I loved the shows that I chose. Music has always been my heart. It was harder to break into acting at that time because everybody in New York had the same black portfolio with pictures and resumes. And when you were new in the business and you had to write a resume, you had nothing to write.
Right, yeah.
You had to create fiction on your first resume that seemed...
Just saying, I was right on point.
So you say in a past life, you wrote fiction for actors that were starting out in New York. Is that what you're telling me today, Davey?
I mean, I made $5 an hour, yeah.
You and I were just sitting here trying to have a conversation.
Really? You know what? I just realized I'm too serious right now in this party. But I have great respect for the industry. I love the hospitality industry. I've been gifted. I had to work hard to get roles, and there's a lot of rejection when you're an actor because maybe you have the wrong hair color, or maybe you're just 20 pounds too heavy, or you don't have the right accent, or you're competing against somebody who has connections. So launching in entertainment is really, it's very debilitating, you know, when you're young, because there's more rejection than acceptance.
I could see, and I've never done acting or audition, but I could literally see you going to auditions throughout the day, and one of them tell you you're 20 pounds too heavy, and the next one tell you you're 20 pounds too light, and then one of them tell you your hair's too blonde, your hair's not blonde enough, right? And I could see all things that are subjective, nothing about you as a person or your ability, just a subjective look.
It's just a cattle call.
It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, I was very fortunate. I met a wonderful voice coach by the name of Milton Green. And Milton had a tiny studio. If you can picture like 46th Street in New York, a little walk-up brownstone, and a door would open, and it was the width of maybe this table, the width of a piano, a piano key.
Okay.
And there was a light and a piano bench, and he would be my voice coach. But you would, if it was your class for you, you'd be in there, and you were about the size of the microphone here, and you couldn't move. You had to really focus on your voice. And before me, in the same studio, were great talent stars at that time. I'll never forget hearing Bette Midler.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'd be standing outside, and
She was so shy when I met her. She was so painfully shy. She collects charms. Okay, real quick. Sorry.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so she came in. I was working at Saks at the time, and she was looking for just regular charms to put on a charm bracelet. She was so reserved, but still was like super cute and cheeky, like behind the scenes when nobody else was around. But if there was a crowd around her, you could see that she really went in there, as opposed to like spreading her wings like we're used to seeing her, from the old bathhouse days when she would like.
I
Really
think a
rock
lot
out.
of actors become actors because we're shy.
Yeah.
It takes you out of
Insecure
your own,
to be your own person.
It takes you out of your own humanity to
Yeah.
be somebody else, and that gives you courage because you're somebody else. You're not really yourself. But I brought that up because, being in the industry doesn't guarantee, even if you know something better than somebody or your voice is better. Milton was also for a while the conductor at that time of Fiddler on the Roof. And he said, Leigh, we're going to be auditioning for the daughters. We're going to be changing out the cast. You're like a Jewish actor. You're going to be great. You can be Seidel, you can be whatever the other sisters' names are. And he arranged for me to have an audition. And I went, and I remember getting up there, and you wore the little, the head, I can't even think, the bandana. And it wasn't like today's makeup. I had this freckle face, long dark hair and freckles. And they looked at me and they said, no, she can't play a Jewish girl. Look, she has an Irish face. And I'm going, I think I'm the only Jewish girl in the audition.
Right, yeah, right.
So I really didn't.
3 Irish girls were the finalists for the
Can you
role.
imagine? Can you imagine?
So there are, stories like that, but I think it was much more difficult to be an actor because there was really not a lot, if you were a nobody, like I was a nobody, to count on. The continuity of your work was not there. You could be a star in a show. The show closes, not necessarily because of you, but now you're out of a job and you have to start the cycle all over again. You have to be accepted by somebody else, not by yourself.
So what was your favorite role that you played as an actress?
Oh my gosh.
Because you mentioned
Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
Really?
I played Aldonza in Man of La Mancha,
wow,
and
what
it
a
was a
great
touring
role.
show. And I really loved playing Aldonza. She was a woman. She was a very strong character. She was one of the only women in the show. It was all, the muleteers and Don Quixote. It was a man's world. And she was a barkeep. She was a whore.
Yeah.
And
But was this like when you went on tour? Was this before you were in events, or did that?
long before. I
Okay.
was never in events until I left show business because I had a life experience that changed my life.
Yeah. And so this kind of gave you that stardom, though. Essentially, you took that sparkle from being on the stage to now events, right? That kind
I
of.
wouldn't use the word stardom.
Okay.
I'd use the word hardworking actor,
Okay.
singer.
Okay.
But right after,
I mean, you're in a touring company. That's not to sneeze about. That's a lot. I mean, I come from that environment. For anybody to get on a tour is a wonderful thing, and it's not something to be just poo-pooed about. I mean, I think that's something.
well,
you
we
should celebrate.
didn't tour around the country. We toured the metro New York, New Jersey area.
Still, so that's the
It was
height of
still
it, though, yeah.
being in a theater, the Helen Hayes Theater in Nyack. It could be a dinner theater in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it around, but I loved
So
being in that
awesome.
show. That was really very exciting for me. And 1776. I love 1776 because every time I was cast as Abigail Adams, They gave me a blonde wig. And in the same show, I could play Martha Jefferson with my dark hair because I had two voices.
Oh, wow.
I had a
Cool.
soprano voice for Abigail, or I don't even remember, but they had two different
incredible, though.
voices. I had a belting voice and I could look different. Actors are chameleons.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for being able to do that. If you had tried to do that in 1776, Jefferson and Adams might have shot themselves over, right? Because they were not fans of one another.
No, they
but
were
in the
not.
play, it's the same actress playing
Very
their
good story to
As a
start.
two
Yeah.
wives.
Two
Yes.
wives. But the funny thing was, because we'd come out for the curtain call, and I had to choose who was I coming out as for the curtain call.
That's so
And
funny.
usually it was Martha Jefferson because she didn't wear the little bonnet and blonde wig. I
Right.
like just let my hair down and come out and be Martha. And they'd all go, "What happened to Abigail? I don't see Abigail. Where's Abigail?"
But that's
And
the
it's
illusion that you
just-
painted, which is great.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had a different career after that because my first husband passed away at a very early age. And when he passed away, and we were living near New York City in Fort Lee, New Jersey at the George Washington Bridge.
Yes.
And I met who was going to be my second husband. He was a band leader. His music was totally different. He had the band at the Rainbow Room, the Waldorf.
Oh, wow.
George Cort was a big-time celebrity band leader who played for Paul Anka, Judy Garland. I mean, his bands were the hot bands of New York City.
So cool.
And I realized that if I kept my theater career and he had his nightclub career, we'd never see each other. We'd never. And I gave it all up to have a nightclub act, so that his small band could be my band, so I could do my own show. And I loved having my own show for about maybe 6 years, and that is what brought me down south. We left New York, and he became the musical director at the Cloister Hotel in Sea Island, Georgia.
Okay.
And I had 2 children, and I really wanted to live on St. Simon's with my children, and that was in the late 1970s.
Awesome.
And that's what introduced me to this area. But I loved having my own show because we'd have my own little overture. I'd come out, I could do music, I could talk. Occasionally I would play a Gershwin prelude at the piano, and everybody, "Oh, she's so talented." No, I could only play one prelude. You don't have to play the whole repertoire.
Right, but that was enough to impress
It's got to be
them.
good at one thing.
Right.
Major culture shock for you? Was that a big transition? I know it was for me to transition into this beautiful environment, community.
I was
what-
so in heaven. I thought I died and went to heaven when I landed in St. Simon's Island.
Awesome.
And I still love it. I love St.
It's
Simon's.
beautiful. Yeah.
But here it is all these years later, and it's only last year that I expanded my Heart and Soul, which is the Women's Food Alliance, and I expanded our membership to coastal Georgia.
Cool.
That's
So I
awesome.
could be up in St. Simon's and Jekyll and St. Mary's and Kingsland and Savannah. I love the Georgia coast. And it's such a joy to be able to open this organization of hospitality women to other women that are just a few miles away across the border. So we took down the border between Florida and Georgia. We took
Right.
it down. We don't need it right now. Thursday night, I'll be in Kingsland. We're having one of our monthly events for the Women's Food Alliance. The College of Coastal Georgia has culinary students, and the president of the college is one of our members of the Women's Food Alliance. So the culinary students are doing a dinner for us at their Kingsland campus. And one of our members works for a international chocolate company called Barry Callebaut. So she's going to do a chocolate education tasting demo
cool.
for us. So we have dinner by the students and chocolate from Kelsey.
That's going to be
That'd
expensive.
be
That's
awesome.
amazing. That's very special.
That sounds wonderful. Really. So, anybody that you acted with that went on to do really well in the acting profession, did you ever run into somebody and years later you're like, I never thought they'd get that far, but
No.
they did? No.
When you go to the American Academy, you're there with a lot of students. I mean, I didn't relate to, and they might have changed their name.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
They might have done a picture and a resume with a different name that I never knew. But no, I don't remember ever going to school with a legend. I don't.
I work with a legend every day. His name is
right.
Davey.
Apparently I can't write
His name is Davey.
Real quick, I have just a quick question about Women's Food Alliance. So can you paint the picture of like what it actually looks like? So is it like a whole sorority of different chefs that are they just congregated in their different regions, or is it everybody all together?
Well, it's not just chefs.
Oh, wow.
You know, when I started the Women's Food Alliance 11 years ago, I realized what the magic is of any organization like hospitality is diversity of careers. So at that time, one of my PR clients was the Casa Marina Hotel in Jacksonville Beach. And one of the gals was their wedding planner. She was fantastic, Becky Lowry. I said, Becky, if I have a dinner, and I was very close with Mariella Rochelle. Mariella and Danny owned Ocean 60 in Atlantic Beach 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And I went to Mariella, a restaurateur. I said, Mariella, if I have like 7 or 8 people for dinner, would you come to this dinner? I want to present something to all these women. And I invited who was the food editor of the Times Union at the time, the marketing director for Woody's Barbecue, a cookbook author. I invited 8 women who did something different in hospitality and food.
This is cool.
None of them were chefs.
Wow.
It wasn't about chefs. It was the industry, hospitality industry.
Because there's so many different facets to it. So you might as well bring them all together
Oh, my
to make
God.
the diamond. Beautiful.
So, and that's what really the Roundtable for Women in Food Service meant to me 40 years ago, at that time 30 years before. It was the diversity of what everybody was doing that excited us all to get together. So I had them for dinner, and I gave them a piece of paper that had the mission statement on it. And the mission statement has never changed. And it was about, you know, supporting each other, partnerships, lending a helping hand, being a sorority, and I use that word all the time, a sorority of women, and then always remembering friendship first.
Yeah.
And all 8 of the women said, I'm joining. I can't wait to join. Well, at that time, I was a PR person doing PR for chefs and restaurants and B&Bs. So I wrote a nice little press release about this new organization. And that night when we were all together, I took a picture of our group, and that became the calling card and the marketing plan of the Women's Food Alliance even today. It's about the diversity of the women and the diversity of their careers. So right now we do have maybe 25 to 30 different careers. Chefs, restaurateurs, event planners, wedding planners, food truck owners, floral designers, entertainers.
Cool.
You know, the party industry it's so big. It's so... Hospitality is so broad. Hoteliers, you know, we have a member who does the marketing for 2 hotels in St. Augustine. And so many of the women that you know here in St. Augustine are members. You mentioned Ellie Schultz,
Yes,
chef.
I love Chef
Cindy
Ellie.
Stavely with the Pirate Museum.
Cindy, yeah.
Jeannie Marin and the Gifted Cork.
Oh, yeah.
Melissa Schroeder, and now with her 3 fantastic, the Bourbon and Boards and etc.
That's really going. That's
Colleen
Oh.
with the Spice and Tea Exchange.
Gotta give a shout out to Spicy.
You better give a shout out to Colleen.
I'm tagging
You
her in this
better.
right now because she'll say, "My nerve, no one tagged me in this."
You better
I
give a
love
shout
Yeah,
out.
Colleen.
my name is
amazing.
Zero if we start talking about people and forgetting
I
people.
love Colleen. She's a local
So,
legend.
so
Love
where do
her.
you want to see the Women's Food Alliance in like 5 years? Where do you envision that being? What's
I
your
really
vision?
don't think it needs to change. You know, I never dreamed that we'd have 170, 180 members from St. Augustine now to Savannah. And we even have a couple of members, one in New Jersey who does hospitality, special gifts and things. We have a member in South Florida, and she does hospitality travel. She's in the travel part of this industry. Every month I plan an event in a member's venue. I learned 40 years ago you do not need to go outside of your membership to have a great venue and create an event. I never have the same event twice. 11 years later, we have at least one event every month. Now we have Coastal Georgia. Now I'm doing 2 events a month, one in Coastal Georgia somewhere. Now this one, as I said, is in Kingsland. We just had one in St. Simon's. One of our upcoming events here in May, we're going to be doing a lunch at Deerwood Country Club because we have representation membership at Deerwood. And we've invited Chef Rebecca Lingenfelser from Savannah, who is bigger than life.
Wow.
She is, she's a TV personality. She's a chef. She's a great PR person and an author. She has a new book. She just produced the only 80 restaurant book about dining in Savannah. She's very close with Paula Dean. And Paula, at her age, just loves Rebecca Lingenfelser at 40. I think they're very similar in their position in the hospitality and food industry and Savannah. So Rebecca's going to be.
Paula Dean likes a lot of butter.
So does Rebecca.
Oh, God bless.
I love both of them.
So we're going to have a cookbook signing, and she's going to tell her story. Last week we were at Bourbon and Boards, and Melissa Schroeder told her story over a lunch. So our organization is really about the heart and soul of the women. There are 4 sisters that maybe everybody knows in Jacksonville, the Culhane sisters, who have Culhane's Irish Pub. And they were just down in South Beach with Guy Fieri at the Wine and Food Festival there. And they've had their 2 Culhanes. They're hot. Culhane's is fabulous. How do 4 sisters work together in a very difficult industry of having full-time 2 restaurants with 200 staff.
Yeah.
Their secret of being sisters, and they're so charming, but they all stay in their own lane. One handles food and beverage, one is marketing, one is the bar, one's the kitchen and HR.
Yeah.
So, we learn from each other, we enjoy each other. The organization is pretty electrifying. When we have an event, it's never the same. It's, life is never the same footprint at that moment. You have to enjoy the moment of what it is.
Of course.
So every time we have an event, even the attendees are different. We never have 170 members come. It could be 40 people at a lunch. It could be 60 people at our Golden Pineapple Award dinner. But you asked me about 5 years from now. I really don't want to change anything. I just want to watch the women enjoy each other, thrive, find partnerships,
You see
excel.
it going nationally even more further than it already has?
I personally cannot do it. And I don't really want to give my brand and my baby to somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
I've thought of franchising things, but when you franchise something, you lose control, and then you run a company from your office.
Right.
I like being in the trenches. I like planning the parties, being there, watching it. I am very hands-on with the Women's Food Alliance.
Yeah, I think that's a great stance to take, because I think when you franchise it, you water it down. And then I think there's no way for you to have the personal contact with that many people. And I think what makes it amazing is the personal contact that you have with the people that are in the organization.
I created it for that.
Yeah.
For myself to have joy in this industry.
Right.
I felt that I owed it to myself after all the years of being in the business to really enjoy it. And I do. I love watching everybody grow. And we probably have a new member every 2 or 3 days.
It's very exciting. Whether they're from Georgia or from North Florida. That's amazing. Or
And
South
they
Florida,
all
like you said.
relate to each other. And even if they don't get to see each other, it's not mandatory to come to our events. I create an event that's there for you to enjoy and utilize if you care to. Some of our members maybe come to one thing a year, but they stay in the network of communication and our private social media page and reaching out. We're a safe haven of hospitality women who care about each other. And if somebody reaches out, we respond right away because they're a member of the Women's Food Alliance.
How do you deal with reserved people that are afraid to talk about their craft? Is that a hard thing to be able to join a networking group like this and being too afraid to talk about what they do?
I have not seen it yet.
Awesome.
We do have I'll give you an example. At the lunch we did at Bourbon and Boards last week, one of our members is new. She's a chef. She had just joined. She hadn't come to any events. And I called her personally. She'll remain nameless right now. She's a darling gal. She doesn't want people to know she's shy.
Cool.
And she said, Leigh, I'm really afraid to come. I'm so shy. And I said, please, just know that I'll be giving out the name tags at the welcome desk. You'll see me first. believe me, when you see everybody's name, you're going to know some of the women.
Yeah.
And I watched her come in, and she stood there looking, and she recognized people. And within about, 15 seconds, she had her name tag on, and she got picked up in the swell of fantastic women. Hi, Alexis, boop, boop, boop. And that was it. She couldn't figure out who she should sit with. Well, I did seating for that one. I wanted her to become, I wanted to seat her with specific people.
Turnkey.
But, to answer your question about that, no, I have not seen shyness in hospitality with women.
Awesome. I love it. Good.
Amanda, we have completely shut you out.
I know,
there.
Amanda. Sorry.
I've been having some technical issues and some cameras not wanting to change, so I've been working. I'm here.
Do you have any questions for Leigh?
I have a question.
Okay.
So how are you able to keep up with all the events that are going on? For 904 Now, there are so many stories and so many people. How do you determine who you want to showcase here?
A lot of that comes from the guys and who they want to talk about. And then if I find somebody that I want to talk to, then I run it past them. So I've got a few ideas that we're kicking around and trying to coordinate.
So we have a production meeting, and we'll
Yeah.
find out strengths and weaknesses, and we have like a SWOT analysis on how this would benefit for the community and where it's going to benefit the people that are obviously watching. We do all the shows. We schedule all the shows about the viewers and the people that are going to move them and the stories that really going to make an impact. So I think from there, once we take that, and then we just kind of qualify it, and when we can fit it into the schedule, and we always try to make it happen. Like I said last time, I think the most beautiful part about 904 is, I did philanthropy in this town for about 10 years. And I didn't realize my purpose then. I was always chasing a paycheck. I was always trying to just survive and just try to, live. But really, I think God and the universe, I think everything kind of made sense to me when I got to be able to be on this platform and sew all of those stories together, to make a mosaic of all of the different nonprofits and to have a voice and to be able to say, hey, I've experienced this with that. And I know a guy and I know a person, just like the Women's Food Alliance. It's a beautiful networking opportunity that a lot of these nonprofits will never have the opportunity to, but we created this incredible force of nature that I really think that it's going to be around for the test of time.
I do believe that every industry has its own tapestry of people and businesses. And some people are tapestry weavers and some people are isolationists. But obviously you enjoy the ones who are the weavers. Sitting here, I asked you that question because I had the luxury of being invited on our local NPR station in Jacksonville by Melissa Ross when she was here. And she gave me carte blanche to have a section called Table Talk. And I could invite anybody on that I wanted to have on the show. And I didn't just stick with women, we're in the Women's Food Alliance, but there's so many fantastic chefs and hospitality people in North Florida. I loved just thinking about, and sometimes I had 3 guests at the same time, about the synergy of 3 different people, and how that segment, because it was only maybe 5 minutes, a 5-minute segment goes by so quickly. But I enjoyed handpicking the people that I thought deserved to be showcased, people who really got it. So what's a great party to you?
Well, before you do, I want to give Davey and Amanda credit, and I'm speaking out of turn for Pete, but I think Pete would agree. Davey and Amanda bring us great ideas for people to be on the show. And occasionally we'll, Pete has people and I have people that we know or we want to get on the air. But they do such a fantastic job of bringing people to the show. You are one of those fantastic people that Davey has brought to the show. And I give Davey all kinds of grief during the show because it embarrasses the heck out of him, and I really enjoy it.
I don't get embarrassed. I'm fine.
But Davey and Amanda are absolutely wonderful to work with because they really are looking out for the 904 Now brand and who's on. And there's so much charitable giving and different events that we get to bring on and showcase to the community because there's not news anymore.
Right.
There's no newspaper anymore.
Yeah.
It's hard to get local TV to get as interested as we are within our own community. So it's great to have people like you and other nonprofits that come on and talk to us and just really interesting people that have a great story. So, yeah.
And telling people stories is really what people enjoy more than the truth,
Absolutely.
Fiction is very nice. We can get lost in it once in a while. When somebody joins the Women's Food Alliance, I realized one of the things that would would speed up their comfort in the organization, because sometimes it takes a long time in any other organizations. But when somebody joins, I write their bio. And as a PR person, as a writer, if I don't keep my chops good, I got to keep my chops good. So I enjoy writing my members' bios with their photo, and then I circulate it through our membership, through our social media pages, and then I send it out to all the media too. So even before they attend an event, their story is out there and people feel like they know them. And I think that's a big part of anything that we're doing.
I'm laughing
you know?
because he's winding up to literally pounce on me. Go ahead, say it.
Oh, really? It's
Next,
happening
you've
now?
given me a phenomenal idea.
Really?
Next Tuesday, we'll all be together again.
Okay.
And next Tuesday, we're going to ask our listeners to help write Davey's bio. We're going to have our listeners write Davey's bio. He's going to post it when
That's
it's
a
all
great
done.
idea.
So all of our
That's a
longtime
great
listeners,
idea.
you have an entire week to think of what you want to
Great
add
challenge.
to Davey's bio.
Don't Google
So
me too
Barbara
hard.
Jean, all the rest of you, you've got this. We need Davey's bio next
Ah,
week.
jeez.
I'm going to hype this until next. You are fantastic. That is a great idea.
I didn't give you the idea.
No,
I just said
yes,
what
you
I
did.
do.
You were
Oh,
the
yeah.
inspiration.
You
You
said
were,
I write the bios for the new people, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, we can just have our people write Davey's bio.
you
So
were
it's
the
a
beacon of
phenomenal.
inspiration. Thank you,
Yes.
Lee.
I would like to point out that the point of contention that started this whole roast Davey today is the movable feast, which is on your website
Yes.
as well as your LinkedIn. So that was the whole point of contention.
Right.
And it is.
We've cleared that up
right
now.
there on the website. Movable
But
feast.
somehow it must have slipped out, because many years ago when I started my PR business in 2000, which is, oh my God, that was 24 years ago, I was starting a column somewhere because I've always written. I've always realized if I'm not writing, the chops are gone. So at some point in my life, and it might have been on the Amelia Island paper magazine, because I worked for the Ritz. And during my years at the Ritz, I used to do like the back page travel dining story, and I might have used the words movable feast at that time. So those words are out there.
24 years. Do you realize these two were still in high school?
I
Do
wasn't
you realize that
No,
they
you-
were still in high
I'm
school?
going to have another drink
I know,
now,
I
really.
might have to start having drinks when you say that.
I just turned 24. What are you talking about?
Is that on your bio?
Oh, we got
So when-
Colleen
when-
Messner in comments right now. She said that she would be happy to write my bio.
Oh, I am so
yeah.
looking forward to
We love you,
Davey's
Spicy.
bio. It's going to be awesome.
But that's what people are scared to write they're not afraid to go to a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, but oh my God, ask somebody to write a bio. And they
So
go,
Lee,
oh my
you asked
God.
Amanda about 5 minutes ago, what makes a good party for you?
Yes, thank you.
For me,
do you like?
a good party for me, I would say it comes down to the atmosphere, just the welcome and the ability to just kind of release tensions and talk to people and connect with people. So that's what would make a good party.
So the first impact.
It wouldn't be
initial
entertainment.
impact.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No.
It wouldn't be like the band would draw you there, but for you,
No.
it's like more of like the people that are going to be at the party.
Yeah, I'm going for the connection. And I mean, you sort of mentioned that with the Women's Food Alliance, is that you did that for connection. That's what I'm going to a party for. Like, I don't care who the band is. I'll go whether I like the band or not, if it's people that I want to spend time with. So it's the connection and the atmosphere that enables that connection.
And the atmosphere starts first.
Yeah.
But also the diversity of where you're going.
The fashion.
Going to the same place all the time isn't quite fun.
True.
You know, you want to see new things. And that became one of my missions 11 years ago, to do diverse venues and get people out of their comfort zone of whatever they're doing
Yep.
and know that there's always something new coming down the pike. And it could be a barn, it could be a colonial quarter, it could be a restaurant, it could be
And I
a
found that
rooftop.
Davey sent that original board that you mentioned as your marketing. So I'm showing the audience now.
Awesome.
It's
Oh,
such
you
a
know
great
what? I
group of
sent so
women.
many photos. I had no idea what
She's been cycling them up.
Oh,
We've
you
been talking.
have been.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's
Thank you.
very talented.
Yes.
She knows people
been
don't want to
working.
see just Davey and I, and so she puts a lot of other things out there to save them.
But it's
Thank
really
you.
important for going back to what you're saying about events and the evolution of events. I think that's it's smart. You know, you don't want to live the same year 75 times and call it a life. You want to do something different. You want to expand your palette, and that really is the adventure of events. I mean, you love events.
Well, for me, it's conversation, right?
Conversation.
It's the conversation with people. I don't want to be someplace where the music is so loud that you can't hear and
Okay,
talk
so
to
what do you
people.
think about themed? Because so many people like to hang on to a theme and they do themes. Does that turn you on or
Drives
does
me
that turn you
berserko.
off?
Drives me berserko. I don't need a theme. I don't need to somebody tell me what I need to look like or what I need to be when I'm arriving at the thing. I want to be me. I want to enjoy my time.
Davey is his own theme.
Yeah.
He doesn't need
I am a
anybody to give him
circus,
ideas. He
yes.
is his own theme.
Well, there's pressure with the theme because then it's like you have to dress to the theme and you want to honor the person that invited you by doing something that is elevated enough to do honor to the theme. And so I feel like that's pressure. It's a little more relaxed for me if there isn't a set theme, but that's me.
That was another piece that I decided to let go.
Yeah.
The theme could be nothing with the ambiance. It's about the theme. Like 1 month, we had a cookbook exchange. That was the theme.
Yeah.
And we had it, where did we have it? We had it at one of the St. Augustine country clubs because one of the chefs was a member at that time. And the theme of the cookbook was really got everybody excited because everybody had to do advanced planning. We were going to do an exchange and everybody had a cookbook that had a story. So it was about the networking, but you didn't have to dress like a cookbook.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Right.
so the theme to me isn't always the dress or how to behave. Sometimes it's the advanced thought that goes into the event. What about you, Mike? What kind of parties do you like to go to?
I'm a conversationalist, right? I like parties that are a little bit quieter in tone. I really do not like the bar scene. I never really got into that. If you go someplace where I am 4 inches away from Davey and I am screaming in his ear.
Right.
I know that sounds exciting for you, but 4 inches away. No, so I just don't like that. I like someplace where you can have a conversation and you can kind of, you get to know people. They can get to know you. Can talk about the issues. Food and drinks are always a bonus to that, right? When you get to sit and have an adult beverage with somebody, you're drinking a great bourbon tonight, just sitting and having that and just talking and getting
And you
to
don't
know
like
people.
to wear suit pants.
I really, truly don't.
See?
So when
Look at it. Look at the posture.
When
Oh.
it's a theme of,
shook it off.
You can wear either flip flops and shorts. I'm happy with that, or I can wear boots and jeans. I'm fine with those too. If you put me in
It's
a
about
suit,
connecting.
I just don't want to be in a suit.
Well, you've really made me feel better about our I'm sorry you're not a woman in the industry. You'd love our events.
I love it.
Really, because the first half hour
Yes.
of our Women's Food Alliance events is the networking.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just arriving. We always have a complimentary cocktail or a mocktail because I do not like coming into a party. Because don't forget, I grew up in the Trump Tower with people with trays.
Yeah.
You walk into a party right away. There's a beverage, and then you have something in your hand, and you do not stand at a bar waiting for a cocktail online.
Oh, I love this
But our
lifestyle.
events start with a cocktail or a mocktail, depending on lunch or dinner,
They're spicy.
and networking. But after the networking, it's at a seated table, usually with 6 or 8 people that you really connect with,
So to get
and
that,
they get a relationship with. So
I-
thank you. That's great.
When we sell metal buildings, we've been in this. We've been selling Butler Steel buildings for 50 years, and I'm on an advisory council of the Southeast. So there's the same builders from the Southeast region, from Florida all the way to Virginia. And when they have that round table meeting, that's the most fun for us because there's things that are industry wide that we talk about, but we always get chance at breakfast and lunch and dinner. Hey, how's your business doing? How are your kids coming along in the business? Where are you at with that? And that connection, I learn more from that than I do from a lot of other things. And usually if you're in the construction industry, I'm not going to share that with local people, but I don't mind sharing it with somebody from Virginia or Georgia or North Carolina because I'm not going to compete against them. So it gives you the ability to kind of talk about issues and problems you might be having. And I'm sure the Food Alliance is the same. Right? Hey, how did you handle this? I had this issue at work, or I had this issue with this
Interesting
vendor.
because there's 3 parts to all of my events. The initial networking, because people love to network and meet new people and my ambassadors who are my board, blah, blah, blah. And then the seated time with 6 or 8 people where you get into it. And then the last half hour is everybody has a chance to stand up and say a little bit about their business, even if it's 15 seconds, because maybe there were 9 people over there that you didn't get to meet and you didn't sit with them, but you want to know who they are.
Yeah.
So that's the finale. Always.
Almost like an invisible string just pulls people together. It's very cool.
That's
Love it.
awesome. Awesome.
So
Will you
great.
come back and see us again?
Yeah, Leigh.
Absolutely.
I
will come
told you
back.
it would be quick.
I will come back and see you again when I have some exciting news about a new part of spreading the word about how to create an organization similar to the Women's Food Alliance. I've been asked to speak for some organizations in the Southeast,
Cool.
and I haven't had time to do it. But this year I will travel maybe to the Carolinas, talk about how people can start organizations that are as enriching as this.
I love this. This is so cool.
So I'll share that with you, of course.
We would
I
love to
you.
have that. We'd love to have you come back. Davey, home run.
All right.
Home run.
Ooh, I was
Oh.
nervous.
I'm giving you an
Really?
A+ today in spite of the rocket start.
Could I
Fixed it.
see the
Rebounded
page
well.
again, which you deleted? Oh, there. Oh, yeah.
No,
You
I just edited all of that
that was
on the
Leigh
back.
Cort with nothing.
This was
Okay.
all yours editing on the front, and I just embellished the editing for fun. So
Redactions.
that's what we do here. We
All right,
embellish
that's
for
Mike
fun.
Davis,
Leigh,
yes.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything
pleasure.
with us. Amanda, awesome job. Davey,
Thank you, sir.
fantastic. Well done.
You.
You're not going to bring anything that good to the afternoon show all week long. Sorry. Sorry, Pete.
Ah, so
Leigh
good.
is the best.
Thank you for my
Yeah.
beverage.
Enjoy.
All right, you guys have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.